They're now still below they're $6 even. But yeah, if you buy them on sale in a carton, you can get them for 55 if you're lucky. But I mean, honestly, it's $10. $10 is worth saving. I'm just saying, right now with the e-cigarette, I'm paying, 1/10 of what I was paying for cigarettes. So, there's no contest. It's a huge amount of money I'm saving.
It's getting goddamn expensive to kill yourself. I'll tell you what. When I started smoking in about '77, they were 46 cents a pack.
Yeah, well, when I started with $3.50 a carton, so yeah, it's 35 cents a pack. But
God, you guys have been smoking for a fucking long time.
I mean, but
I don't smoke anymore.
It was still money.
Except when I travel.
Yeah, well, the one I like best, to tell you the truth, the one that's I found to be the cheapest now, is called the e-puffer. Because the little atomizers, they last fucking forever. They're not as good, but they last. Yeah, if you don't fuck them up, they really last. The minis and stuff, they burn up too quick, so you really get killed. But you got to pay $8-9 a piece for them. And these you can buy you buy their old ones, and you can get like a box of 5 for $10. So they're only $2 a piece, and they last a long time. So that's the one I'm going with from now on.
So what share of the price of a pack of cigarettes is just tax?
Well, they're at about 8 or 900% taxed. So you have to think of the tax in different ways. There's two taxes. There's 3 taxes. You got your federal tax, you got your state tax, but you also have the Medicare settlement. And so all the big tobacco producers had to pay into this trust fund for the Medicare settlement. And so that's the way that's extracted from the smaller producers is a little bit complicated. But I mean, you're talking the production cost of a carton of cigarettes to make a profit. They could still be making a profit at $7, a good profit at $7 a carton. So it only costs them like $5 to make the damn things per carton, and they're selling them for 50 and 60. So that the rest is all just markup. The rest is all just taxes and fees of one kind or another.
I mean, it's got to be pretty inexpensive to produce a pack of cigarettes when you get down to it. And they produce them in such huge quantities that the economies of scale are all pointing in the right direction. When I was living in Africa, you'd buy them for about 15 cents a pack off somebody's table on the side of the road. No taxes.
Actually, it costs more to transport cigarettes than it does to produce them. They are absurdly cheap to produce. I think the taxation is complete bullshit. I don't think Medicare or Medicaid should cover loud typing noises. Also, the effect of smoking. If you have some kind of health condition as a result of smoking, any kind of socialized medicine should not cover it. We shouldn't be paying taxes because...
But that's a canard anyway, all right? Because cigarette smokers, this is like all these arguments are so stupid. Cigarette smokers don't collect as much Social Security. They don't collect as much health coverage because they don't live as long. So they don't die when they're 85. It's very expensive. It's like both my parents, are 90. They both broke their hip in the last month, right? I mean, hugely expensive when you think of all this crap they're getting for free. But yeah, they're going to go through this crap all the time. They're going to be in and out of the hospital now probably every 3 weeks and blah, 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 all this bullshit. They're really fucking expensive. Cigarette smokers are a net profit to the fucking society, okay? They pay more into the system than they take out of the system, so I don't see any reason why there should be any bigotry against them whatsoever, unless you're going to have a bigotry against goddamn people who are overweight. Why don't you have the same standard for people who are willfully overweight?
That's precisely it, and that's why all of this anti-smoking sentiment is such a crock. A cigarette smoker is more likely to die, not from the effects of smoking, but from stomach or colon cancer as a result of a poor diet. Cigarette smokers generally live less healthy lifestyles. They're going to eat more high fructose corn syrup. They're going to eat more fatty foods. They're probably going to eat more meats.
Drink more too.
And drink more too, yeah. Cigarettes aren't going to kill you as quickly as other things will.
And either way,
that's what you were saying there.
They kill you after you have done your productive work in society. They don't kill you when you're 21 or 35. They kill you when you're after you're 55. All right? And really after you're 65 is when the number starts really going high. So, I mean, they do all their damage after you've done your fucking work for the society. It's just idiotic to sit there and cut the benefits. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like I said, they're net beneficiaries to society, and society's going to have to. That's the irony here. Is society's going to have to pay more for stopping people from smoking cigarettes. They're going to have to pay more welfare, more health insurance. All these expenses are going to go up, and so they've shot themselves in the fucking head. They've created more of a liability.
I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree, but I think there are other costs to cigarette smoking that are just harder to tabulate in terms of dollars and cents. But I've seen them. You know, just
Why no? But compared to what? Okay,
Destroyed.
compared to all the other liabilities, behaviors out there, socially destructive behaviors. Okay, I mean, compared to obesity, cigarette smokers win. Compared to alcoholism, cigarette smokers win huge. And alcohol is taxed at 25%. Cigarettes taxed at 850%. Now you make sense out of those numbers. Make sense out of those fucking numbers.
I mean, is that the discussion we're having here? I agree with you on both those points.
I think it is the discussion we're having here. Why is there a law against cigarettes? There's only one reason. Why is it taxed? Because it's a minority vice. And it's a minority that has no fucking representation in government because we have a system that doesn't reward integrated minorities. So if you're integrated into society, if you live in every state, you'll have no representation because of our geographic bias. You'll have no fucking political power. There's no advocate for cigarette smokers in the Congress. The only advocates are there for the tobacco companies, but no advocates for a cigarette smoker. Okay, and there's 25 million of them. They don't have one fucking congressman, not one fucking senator. All right, now that's the reason. That's
the Smokers' Party.
Because the United States Constitution has been flushed down the fucking toilet. The Supreme Court should have stopped this from happening. They couldn't have prohibited alcohol this way, okay, back in the early 1900s because the Supreme Court wouldn't have let them. And now the Supreme Court is allowing majority bigotry to impose itself on minorities. They are violating the United States Constitution. That's why these taxes are this high. It's clear, just a bigotry. It's a minority oppression, period.
I entirely fucking agree with you, Gary. Diabetes type 2, obesity, and the results of an unhealthy diet are much, each one individually is a huger killer, much bigger than lung cancer. In my state, they recently passed a food and beverage tax, taxing candy, sugary drinks, energy drinks, and the public is resisting this so much. Everyone is so fucking outraged that they have to pay a premium on these unhealthy goods, but they don't say a word about cigarettes. I don't understand this sentiment. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and they do this all in the guise like they want to protect the future. They can stop minors from smoking tomorrow. They can just make it a really harsh penalty for selling cigarettes to a minor. Second, they can register cigarette smokers. So we could be registered addicts. We could buy a permit to buy cigarettes for ourselves, for our own consumption. Problem fucking solved. You can stop all new addicts tomorrow, if that's what they wanted to fucking do, just by registering and requiring cigarette smokers to have a fucking, basically a prescription. Then minors won't even have access to cigarettes anymore. All right, and so yes, this is a fixable problem. They didn't choose to fix the problem because they don't give a fuck about the minors. They don't give a fuck about kids. All they care about was finding a minority to exploit for goddamn fucking money. Period. They wanted to give the rich a tax cut, and who'd they pick? They picked the poorest population on fucking earth, cigarette smokers. Generally speaking, people of less than, you know, gigantic means. So it's just a fucking regressive taxation, just a fucking malicious, deliberate, willful effort by the GOP, and then the Democrats and just went along because they wanted their higher union wages, they wanted their other perks of government, and they said, well, this is a great way to get it. We can, and it's disgusting. Like I said, our fucking state, the highest sources of revenue, cigarette taxes, the lottery, and gambling. That's how the fucking state finances itself.
Hey, Gary, mind if I interrupt just a second? A guy who just cammed up here, this is Brain Police, and he's the guy I was telling you about earlier, whose account was apparently stolen by that Fringe Elements person, and whose videos were deleted. What's up, Brain Police? And by the way, I like your videos, generally speaking. Well, when they were there.
Yeah, well, if you want me to mirror something or do, you know, make some sort of statement or whatever, I'll be glad to do it. Because, you know, I mean, if Stodel's pulled that kind of move, I mean, everybody should be really on his fucking, well, not on his ass, because that's what he would want, but, you know, they should be really humiliating him thoroughly.
Yeah, I contacted YouTube. They haven't gotten back to me. I don't know, but hopefully I'll get my account back and he'll get banned all over again. I have to address something in text right now, real quick. The reason that smoking reduces the elasticity of connective tissue is because it's very high in dioxins. All smoke contains that. However, dioxins are also present in unhealthy foods, like high fructose corn syrup or meat. Meat contains a very, very high amount of dioxins, yet that's never fucking mentioned in any scientific study published in popular media. It's never talked about.
Yeah, I think it's also to do with just particulates too. I don't remember all the science of that whole skin elasticity thing, but that's why farmers get all kind of burnt out. Is, you know, because of the abrasives that are in smokes and such. It's like coal miners.
But back to Brain Police for a second here. So,
That's because they're.
I mean, how many videos have you ever seen the guy trash?
Oh, what's that?
How many videos did he delete?
All of them, and there was close to 400.
Yeah, well, the good news is like, you know, the deletions aren't permanent. You know, I mean, they still got them on the server somewhere, so, you know, hopefully they can pull all that.
Yeah, but good luck contacting anybody from YouTube and getting them to pay attention to you.
Yeah, I think they might have 30 days backup, but they haven't gotten back to me. I'm gonna, I guess, keep sending them a forum every day until they finally reply to me.
Well, that's just a terrible violation. I mean, that is outrageous behavior. I was telling Gary, you might have seen the video that Gary made to this guy this week. And here he is, this champion of private property rights and, you know, voluntary, you know, societies where people reconcile their differences in an amiable way. And he pulls this kind of shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just kind of validates the whole idea there would just be rape and pillage all over the place. I mean, we would just be sabotaging each other. You know, you don't, there's a guy making bubblegum cheaper. You know, I'm going to poison the water and I'm going to do that. You know, we'd just be fucking each other up so bad. I mean, we'd all have to, like, we'd have to, you know, just about, you'd have to have, like, you'd have to hire somebody to walk your daughter to school, and you'd have to, like, have a cage around everything that you owned, and a moat, and, I mean, fuck.
Yeah, I think he just deconstructed himself pretty well with that move.
He's mad because I called him out for being having a white nationalist past and being a fucking racist fuckwad. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Well, and he's such a pussy to keep running away from that. You know, but he keeps doing that. I mean, I talked to him for a while, you know, just because he had calmed down on that whole racism shit like a year ago, and so he was like talking like a human being.